We made something for BBC Talent competition.
Yeah.
2001, and we finally sort of sent something in, and we got them selected by Shane Allen, who was talking today, and who has obviously gone on to be head of BBC Comedy, but he was a producer. We got to make them for BBC Choice, which dates us because that was what BBC Three was called before it was rebranded, before it was put online, and then and that gave us a foot in the door to the industry. And then we sort of realised, oh, okay, there is a route, and we just basically, in terms of advice to new writers, Shane said persistence is key, so the only producers we spoke to were him and Phil Clark, and we just kept pestering them and trying to meet up for coffees and get advice, and slowly that opened up into getting other writing jobs.
It was BBC Talent in 2001, which was the thing that popped us above just our friends seeing it, but that was the first time we'd ever submitted anything to a competition.
And,
I think.
And it gave us confidence, I think, because you've got somebody who's backed you. And then, so at that stage, we then submitted stuff to the Comedy Lab that Channel 4 was running.
Yeah.
And that's because we'd made a connection with Phil Clark, who was who's judging the comedy stuff we did. He was just aware of us, and it just meant there was an opportunity to be listened to and seen. And so... But actually, sorry, before that, actually, we got something through on Comedy Lab, and so when they said, who would you like to work with? We said Phil, and we started to develop something which never got made, but it just meant that we started to make the connections with people in TV. And I think one of the smart things we did very early on was try our best to hang around in any room that would have us for as long as we could. You know, if it was like, can we just write in this office for now? Because then when people would walk past and looking for writers, or be about to come up and say, who do you know who writes? And we'd be in that room ready to sort of take on any work that comes up.
Entertainment writing, which has been our staple for quite a while, is sort of an amorphous thing, not really mentioned and not really talked about. But in fact, it's kept us in day work for a lot of our career, doing comedy entertainment shows, where you get paid a day's fee to turn up and do jokes for Ant and Dec, or for game shows, or for Mr and Mrs, or for panel shows, those sort of things. And increasingly we try and do more work on our own scripts or longer scripted narrative pieces. But to fill in those little gaps, the entertainment work is valuable, actually.
The first time we got asked to do gag writing, we'd having submitted stuff, sitcoms and stuff, ideas, Distraction came up and they asked us to send some gags in and see if it worked, and we wrote some jokes, had no idea.
We didn't know how it worked, really, or what they were asking for.
Because I'd never written anything in that structure before. We'd never written jokes ourselves, never done stand-up. So we spent a long time, a lot of hard work over weeks, just trying to pull together some sheets of paper.
My lunch breaks at work, I was at work, my day job, sneaking off and doing some links for
just trying to get as many options so they had as much stuff as possible for this first time round, and then sent them in, and they liked them and thought, I think we'd culled a lot, we'd picked the best stuff.
I think most of them are unusable. Probably would tell them before, but I think there was something in it. They were, at the very least they put some effort in.
Yeah, and then they put time in. They employed us to do that first show for a couple of days on the first series, and then the useful thing about television is that you work on a show and then that show disbands and all the producers and the staff go off in different directions and work with other production companies and other teams. And for us, we were lucky because they would bring. They would then say, oh, we're looking for writers, and they go, well, we work with these guys. And I'd say there's a huge part of if you're nice to work with and receptive to notes and just happy to just work at it for that kind of comedy, I think it goes a long way, because they're just looking for the material. They're looking for, they're not just looking for the material, they're looking for people who they can work with.
And the understanding when they ask you to do a day's work and write 100 jokes and they use one of them.
Yeah, because that was
often the way you go. We'd watch the show keenly and there might be one of our jokes in it. And initially you go, oh. Or you can go like that, but I think actually we're quite excited to even get one. And we're like, yes, we've got a joke in. But the wastage is huge, and you've got to be prepared for that,
And so, and I think,
right, and most of it gets chucked out. Because it might hit 4 o'clock and they'll go, oh, you've been writing all day to try and do stuff for Neil Morrissey, but he's just cancelled, so now he's not in the show, so you go scrub through all that. So it's wasted.
And you have to remember it's not your show. You've got to remember it's the producers, or it's the stars, or people are putting the show together. They have a much better idea of what they're trying to get across, particularly for us at that early stage. we were just glad to be there. We were just glad to be asked back, and the way that I think we realised that our sense of accomplishment was not whether a joke got used, but whether we got asked to come back in and write more.
Yeah, we're working up at the moment. We're working on one of the urban myths for Sky, the Urban Myths strand, which I think is a great strand. We're working at one of those with David Walliams, and we're also working with him on. We've got a show, sitcom idea for Sky and a sitcom idea for BBC with him, which we're working up. So hopefully one of those three things will come to air. But you've got to have irons in the fire, haven't you, to make things in amongst all that. As Andy alludes to, we still keep our hand in doing work with Ant and Dec on Saturday Night Takeaway. We do days on 8 out of 10 Cats. We do sketches for Horrible Histories. We do entertainment shows. So it's keeping all those things going at once. So if anyone falls away, then we've got.
We do interviews for the Writersroom.
We do interviews for the Writersroom.
It doesn't pay as well.